Good evening to you all faithful viewers of Equinoxe Television, 6 p.m. by 6 o'clock. And it's time for the news. We thank you so much for joining us tonight. Our major stories this evening as the military court in Yaoundé adjourns the Martinez Zogo murder case to June 21. ES are keenly on the ground to ensure that every detail is taken into consideration for the culprits to be punished accordingly. This comes after a cross-examination of a forensic cyber expert who brought forth shocking videos of how Martinez Zogo was mercilessly tortured to death. Professor Bell Bijoka says some telephone conversations between Amubu Belinga and Justin Danwe have, however, been deleted. We bring to you details in this news edition. And with the unfortunate recurrence of sexual assault on minors in Cameroon, the Cameroon Bar Council sets up a chamber for victims of rape to report any attempt or incidents of a sexual assault. How practical can that initiative be? We explain more in this newscast. Viewers, those are our lead stories. Meet us for details and more in just a moment. Welcome back, viewers. Thank you for always being there. Thank you for your confidence. The trial of the killing of Martinez Zogo, the journalist of Amplitude FM, got into another critical phase that was on Tuesday at the Yaoundé Military Tribunal after an emotional charged opening marked by the screening of disturbing torture videos. Proceedings shifted to the examination of digital evidence. The day was dominated by intense cross-examination of a cyber forensic experts revealing new details about communication linked to the case while raising fresh questions about the existence of a direct order to kill the journalist Martinez Zogo. Details with Babila Jonathan.
Bijoka joined on 12 separate expert reports. A witness presented recovered telephone records, electronic communications and digital data to trace links among members of the State Intelligence Service and the several high-profile civilian and business figures. During questioning, Professor Bijoka explained that investigators face major challenges in tracking some suspects because trained operatives allegedly implemented strict signal security measures. According to the expert, several individuals switched off their devices, removed SIM cards, or left their primary phones behind before the operation under investigation. Defense lawyers, however, insisted that the digital evidence presented so far does not contain any explicit order directing the killing of Martinez Zogo, a point that remains at the center of the legal battle between the defense and civil parties. After hours of intense technical testimony and procedural exchanges, the expert witness showed signs of exhaustion. Presiding judge subsequently suspended proceedings late in the evening to allow all parties to recuperate. Hearings are expected to resume 22nd June 2026 as the court continues examining the digital evidence.
And now we told you in the headlines with the recurrence of so many cases of sexual assault and rape on minors across several regions in Cameroon. The Cameroon Bar Council raises an alarm by initiating or creating a special chamber for rape cases to be reported if there is anyone. And our reporter Cedric Chakutio tells us that they want all institutions to get into action.
The Cameroon Bar Association has expressed a deep concern following a series of serious cases reported in recent weeks across several regions of the country. In a public statement, the legal body warned of an alarming rise in sexual violence against minors and called for a strong response from all relevant institutions. The statement refers to several cases that have recently come to public attention, notably in Yaoundé, Douala, Bagante, and the Momo division. Some of the alleged perpetrators are said to have held positions of trust or responsibility within educational settings, further deepening public outrage and concern. The Bar Association also recalled the painful memory of young Divine Barga Atangana, who was found dead in March under circumstances that shocked the nation. According to the institution, such tragedies reflect a growing threat to children and require an uncompromising judicial response. Lawyers further condemned informal settlements that sometimes allow alleged offenders to avoid prosecutions. They urge magistrates, investigators, and all actors within the criminal justice system to enforce the law with the utmost firmness. Beyond punishment, the Bar Association called for stricter background checks during the recruitment of teachers, particularly in private schools, as well as stronger prevention and awareness campaigns targeting children and families. The Bar Association ends by informing that there is a special legal assistance unit that has been established to support victims and their families throughout judicial proceedings and to ensure that affected children receive the protection and guidance they need.
We will be talking more on that in the second part of the news with Barrister Law. And now in other news, we take you to the southwest region, surpassed by persistent cases of drug abuse in Buea. Residents of Checkpoint Wokoko in the Fako division and women of the Mbeme village in the Opan Banyang subdivision of the Manu division took to the streets in protest. They have vowed to end the sales of drugs in their communities, as Majikan Gabriel tells us in this report.
Residents of Checkpoint Wokoko in Buea have taken the fight against drugs into their own hands. As part of a 3-day community operation, locals confronted a suspected drug vendor.
We don't want drugs in Moliko neighborhood. It is too much. It is too much.
No to drugs.
No to drugs in Moliko neighborhood.
Drugs.
All the youths have become something else. We don't have enough of tomorrow because of drugs. Even pregnant women, young girls are taking drugs. It's becoming too much.
Searched shops and recovered several tablets of tramadol. The seized drugs were later set ablaze. Some youths caught in the act were disciplined by the community, and residents refused police intervention, saying they want to handle the crisis themselves.
The Moliko police are taking the man, and we don't want to trust that guy. This is not the first time. Every morning, afternoon, evening, you meet police around his premises, collecting money from him. So what they have done now is, if you meet this guy outside, out of the police custody, you burn him alive. He has destroyed the youth of Moliko. Not one, not two, not three. More than 3/4 of youths in Moliko have been destroyed by him.
The action comes as drug use in the neighborhood is said to be at its peak. In Mayu division, women of Mbime village in Upper Bayang subdivision also staged a peaceful protest. They say they are fed up with many children dropping out of school, abusing hard drugs, and even turning violent towards their mothers. They now see us as useless people, women born for the kids to help them tomorrow. But the children have become stubborn to the point that they beat their mothers. You send children to school, they refuse and use the money to buy hard drugs. Now they keep dreadlocks and draw tattoos all over their body. The women ended their march at the entrance to Mbime village, vowing that anyone bringing drugs into their community will face serious consequences.
So what happened, I applaud it, because it has been long that our children have been going wayward because of all these drugs. What the women decided to do, I say no, it's correct. Because if they don't do like that, they'll be as if everybody's just happy with what is happening. And meanwhile, nobody's happy.
Similar community actions have already taken place in Baepanya, Ediki, and other localities across the southwest region.
Sad indeed. And now this information just getting to us a while ago. Rescue operations are underway at a construction site following the collapse of a building in Bipanda. Eyewitnesses say 4 workers have been pulled out from the rubble, safe and sound, with no injuries reported. However, one of the workers is still to be found, and rescue teams are searching the debris to locate wherever he can be. Authorities have not yet confirmed the cause of the collapse, and our reporter Majikan Gabriel is at the scene of the incident.
You're welcome to the Bepanda neighborhood. I must say so, but that is around Karufu or Mispoye in Bepanda. It's about some few hours ago when this house that you see right behind me collapsed here. And according to the first information we gathered, most of those who are working here were already gone. In fact, when the house collapsed, most of them managed to escape. But we are having information that at least one person is still trapped right inside the building. But for now, as we arrived here, we noticed the arrival of a bulldozer that has been brought in to begin work. But again, the Army Rescue Unit, some workers from the Army Rescue Unit, they are inside struggling to see if they can remove the person whom they said is inside. But for now, we can't actually tell what is happening. We are going to update you as the news unfolds. But just to note that the forces of law and order from the Army Rescue, Gendarmerie, Police, and even elements from the City Council and of course Douala 5 Council have all been mobilized around this zone. For now, we cannot also tell what actually caused the house to collapse. We don't know if it is the way that it was constructed or whatever happened. We are here and we'll keep on updating you. From the Bepanda Municipal Neighborhood for Equinoxe TV News, I'm Smart Jikan Gabriel signing out.
Thanks, Matt. So, sure, we will be bringing more details in subsequent news editions on Equinoxe Television. And Dr. Gloria Eno Ashutangtang has been appointed the new Pro-Chancellor of the University of Buea in presidential decree. Cameroon's leading medical practitioner and also a nephrologist is coming to replace Professor Edward Oben, who passed away some months ago. Professor Gloria Ashutangtang is widely recognized for her dedication in advocacy, health advocacy to be more precise, and works to advance kidney disease care across Cameroon and across the world. Let's get to know more about her with Mala Glory.
Originally from Minor Division in Cameroon Southwest region, Professor Gloria Eno Ashutangtang has carved out a highly successful career in medicine. Now, as Pro-Chancellor of the University of Buea, she replaces Professor Edward Oben, who died some months ago. Ashutangtang is one of Cameroon's leading medical academics and specialists in kidney disease, a consultant nephrologist at the Yaoundé General Hospital and professor of medicine at the University of Yaoundé 1. For decades, Professor Ashutangtang has emerged as a prominent figure in African nephrology, which is a medicine that deals with kidney disease, including chronic kidney disease, kidney failure, and dialysis treatment. Her work has focused on improving kidney disease care in Cameroon and developing nations where access to specialist treatment can be difficult and expensive for many patients. She is the founding president of the Cameroon Society of Nephrology and has also served as president of the African Association of Nephrology. Besides holding leadership positions with the International Society of Nephrology, she has also served as a vice president of the Cameroon Medical Council. Her academic and professional career has taken her far and wide. She is a holder of an MBBS degree from the University of Ibadan in Nigeria, a specialization certificate in internal medicine from the University of Yaoundé 1, as well as specialist training in nephrology and MD from the University of Geneva in Switzerland. In one of her former posts, she worked as a dean of the Faculty of Health Science at the University of Bamenda. Her career milestones include international recognition as a distinguished fellow of the European Renal Association and high national honors as both a knight and officer of the Cameroon Order of Valor. Appointed as the new Pro-Chancellor of the University of Buea, this celebrated medical pioneer steps into a vital leadership role at the university.
And now, out of our national frontiers in Benin, where the new president, Romot Wardagni, has launched a diplomatic tour to Niger and Burkina Faso to repair strained regional ties. And over to Senegal, where the Speaker of the National Assembly, Ousmane Sonko, has addressed his party's political splits with President Diomaye Faye. More on our foreign page roundup with Lo Maero.
During his press conference on June 2, 2026, Usman Sonko clarified his political slip with President Basiru Diomaye Faye, explaining that PASTEF refused to join Amadou Al-Aminu Law's new government to avoid political window dressing. Now serving as the Speaker of the National Assembly with an overwhelming majority of 130 MPs, Sonko acknowledged de facto cohabitations and firmly called out the Prime Minister, urging him to stick to technical matters rather than politics. Although he pointed out that Parliament technically has the power to double the government within 72 hours via a vote of confidence, Sonko ruled out the options, extending a hand to the head of state for a constructive political dialogue to safeguard Senegal's stability. The Democratic Republic of Congo has launched preparatory work for the second general population census, a colossal undertaking for a country that has not conducted one in over 40 years. Presented as a national priority by the Minister of State for Planning, Ghislaine Yambo-Gwinzia, the actual counting is scheduled to begin in July 2027. However, his timing is raising concern and suspicions of the potential delay in the electoral calendar coming just a year before the 2028 general election. In response to this fear, the minister ensured that the goal is to complete the census before the end of 2027, precisely to keep the operation insulated from political maneuvering. On the other side, the warming of relations between Benin and the neighbors of the Alliance of Sahel States took a step forward on Tuesday, June 2nd. Just about 10 days after his inauguration, the new Beninese president continues his regional tour in West Africa with stop in Nigeria and Burkina Faso. The objective to renew dialogue with two countries with which Benin has gone through a long period of tension. Romial Wadini first stopped in Niamey. Welcomed at the airport by General Abdourahmane Tiani, he was received with full honor in the warm, fraternal and highly cordial atmosphere, according to the final joint communique, which also notes a shared desire to consolidate cooperation between two neighbors.
And that does it for the first part of the news. Let's move on to talking points, viewers. Welcome back, viewers. Our guest tonight is Barrister Remind Amugu. Thank you, Barrister, for accepting to be our guest on the news on Equinoxe television today. And we are talking about the recurrence of sexual assault, especially among minors, or sexual assault on minors in Cameroon, especially young girls. We still remember vividly of the case of Divine Berger, who was not only raped, but she was killed after being sexually assaulted. There is the case of Joyce, who was allegedly sexually assaulted in school in Yaoundé. And also there is this lady from Gide who has been crying foul for so long now that her 3 sons were brutally sexually assaulted. As a mom, Barrister, besides being a lawyer, when you hear of these gruesome incidents happening in Cameroon lately, what comes to your mind? What's your reaction?
Thank you, Annie. It's always a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me once more. We are all equally flabbergasted and highly disturbed with the social trend of today when it comes to the rape cases. The height of, in fact, it has gotten to the height of social decadence. Everything is deteriorating. We don't know what's happening, if it is a new trend or it has been there, and because of the social media, the lack of social media in those days, we're not able to get all this information because it keeps coming like every week. It's now on a weekly basis that we hear every now and then of a rape case, of a minor especially. We don't know what's happening. It's really pathetic. It's really pathetic because when I put myself in the shoes of a mom, I don't just want to imagine the pain. We can only imagine it. We cannot really feel it. It's really pathetic. And the laws, this question keeps coming up. What does the law say? I think it's not what the law says. The problem is not what the law says because the laws are clear. Section 296 of the Penal Code punishes rape. But what does the law do? That is a question.
That is really the question, Barrister Remind. What does the law do? The law we know punishes sexual predators with prison terms ranging to up to 15 years. But that is hardly implemented in Cameroon. What is the stumbling block? Why this laxity, Barrister?
And just like I said, the laws are there. The laws are there to punish culprits. What does the law say is not even the problem. The issue is, what does the law do? Because those laws are there. I will not say they are not implemented, but they are implemented with a lot of laxity, in my opinion, with a lot of laxity, because you'll be shocked to know that people go to courts, they are judged and sentenced. They are found guilty and they go to prison. They go to prison and people who know them will still tell you, I saw him around. I saw him around. I think the application of this law is the problem. The application of this law, the laws are there. And the problem is at the level of the penitentiary center. The penitentiary administration, I don't know what's happening. You see, and when you ask questions, they will tell you, oh, it's a bailable offense. First, this offense is not a bailable offense. How does it happen that you see people in prison, the people have been charged in prison for, like, let me say, 3 years, and you still find them in the streets? They even come around the court premises. So that's the issue we are having in Cameroon.
Barrister, some Cameroonians recently have been advocating for public execution of sexual predators or a death penalty, a death sentence. Why not? Some people even think their manhood should be cut off. Why not? What do you think as a lawyer? Can that act as a panacea?
To be candid with you, I've thought about that. Out of emotions, we can think about that, but unfortunately, we are in the state of law. A state of law which has ratified conventions, human rights conventions protecting life. We cannot be talking about protecting life and protecting the human being as a general against torture. Chopping off the manhood is going to go against that treaty that we all signed. When I say we all signed, our state represents its people. So out of emotion, one can be forced to think about that. But I think we should have a more severe sanction. It's true that death sentence has been abolished. It is not in our... It is not in... It is, how will I put it? It is there, but it is not executory. It is not executory, I'm sure, because of the treaties. Sometimes this question used to come up. It comes to my mind, and I'm asking myself, why is the law written and it cannot be applied? Because it is there in the Penal Code. Why is it written and it cannot be applied? I think something should be done. Unfortunately, we are amongst those states. Not every state in the country. And I want to believe the draftsmen or the leaders of those countries that did not sign these treaties, they had a point. Because our hands are tied in situations like this. Because I really feel like those, like the public opinion you just stated, I sometimes feel like that, because when I put myself in the place of those mothers, I think something more difficult, something more hard should be meted on them as punishment, because they just go to prison, they are relaxed, they mingle with people. I don't know, they should isolate them, they should give them, I think corporal punishment while in prison. They should add something, to the prison term that will make it different, that will differentiate them from any other ordinary criminal, because in fact, those are capital offenders, and something heavy has to be done. I think the present laws are soft.
Okay. Now, Barrister, since the law in Cameroon cannot help victims of rape and their families, somehow cannot help them practically, the families, the communities seem to be powerless. as we speak. You have been handling some cases in court. I am sure you've been practicing for a long time now. What do you think, since the law cannot help, what do you think can be done to ensure, to dissuade these predators and curb the recurrence of sexual assault, especially on minors in our communities?
Okay, first things first, and we need to start from our communities. We need to start from our neighborhood. Do you know there are so many cases of rape that go unreported? Do you know these offenders have seen somebody raping and nothing was done because it was settled in the quarters? Do you know these offenders go and bribe the chiefs? Do you know these offenders bribe even the families? They go back to the family and say, please, let's negotiate. Please, we are ready to pay these damages. I have seen that. I have seen cases like that. So we have to, they say charity begins at home. We have to start from our communities. We, the onlookers, we, the neighbors, we, the victims, we should make sure, because this child is being raped, it's not the mother who is being raped. This child's womb, if it is destroyed, it's not the mother's womb that's going to be destroyed. They should know that these children, these victims, have a separate life from their families, from that of their parents. They have a separate life. This is a child, a girl who will grow up tomorrow and be loved by a man and be married by a man and be kept at home. This is a woman who will grow up and admire having a baby, wants to have a child, and she's unable to have a child because the mother negotiated her womb, or because the uncle negotiated and took money and negotiated her destiny. So we need to start from the communities. Let's speak out. Let's come up and speak up. There should be no amicable settlement when it comes to rape. You will not imagine that sometimes the law enforcement agents are faced with cases. They have a file and their hands are tight because the victim's parents come and tell them that, please, we want to withdraw. He has begged us. That beg usually goes along with something. It's not an empty-handed begging. So I want us to, first of all, acknowledge that fact. I'm saying so because others see what the others did, and he encouraged them. He knows the brother has raped. He knows the uncle has raped, and it was handled in the quarter, and the matter was closed. So let's start. That's the first step. And the second step that goes to the states. The states should do something about the penitentiary authorities. We are tired. We have those situations. We are tired. They should make sure when a culprit, when there is a detainee, the detainee should actually live a life of a detainee. They should not be giving them comfort, luxuries. You will see them going around. How can a warder leave the court and is strolling around with a prisoner? All in the name of, I want to see him off, he's going to this, he's going to that. That's because the system is corrupt. The system is bad. The system is broken down. It has broken down irretrievably. We don't understand what's happening. How can you see a prisoner comes to court to say hello to a judge? Yes, it happens. My colleagues are victims, and most are a victim. And many other people do not even have a lawyer. But those who don't even go to court with lawyers, I really pity them in this decadent situation, decadent society that we have. The judiciary is broken. He will be in prison, but you see him outside. They should do something about that. Some do not even finish their prison term. I did a case, and the person did not finish her prison term, and she was seen outside. Oh. Sorry, I'm getting emotional. It's really too much. So, and that's the problem we are facing. So that's the first part. The first part, that's the second part I just talked about. And the first part, I will just call on God Almighty to use his mighty hands, because it's like it's more than the humans. Call on God Almighty to intervene. It's getting out of hands. It's getting out of hands because the people we look up to are not able to protect us. Your neighbor is no more your friend. Your neighbor sees your child going, it doesn't concern them. Your neighbor hears the child crying, it doesn't concern them. So I think those are the three things that we should put. When I say calling on God, we should pray as a nation.
Barrister, now, before we go, what about sex education? Can it play a vital role? Shouldn't we start sex education at the elementary level? Like, tell the kids their private parts should not be touched, like we see on social media, and we see some parents already practicing. Can that play an important role, that is beginning sex education very early?
Yes, it does. It does actually. Sex education is very important, and it is very important. Children nowadays are, I think, smarter than before. They're smarter than children of our days. So it is good to teach them. Don't feel they don't get the knowledge. You can maybe break down the terms, like replacing those private parts with some soft names that can easily enter their heads. But trust me, they understand everything. So this sex education is very important to introduce as early as 3. A child of 3 should know. A child of 3 can express themselves very well, and there are even children of 2 can express themselves very well. So you talk with them. And another thing, and apart from educating them, you should educate them and also have make sure you create this friendship with your children, so that they can always come to you when they're having difficulties. They can always explain their problems, because a child may know something wrong has been done on their body, but the child may be unable to speak up because the child is afraid, or because the child is not comfortable with the person with whom they are living. So there should be a channel of communication which should be coded with friendship, so that this child feels comfortable to talk.
Thank you so much, Barrister Remind, for accepting to be our guest on the news tonight to talk on this very pertinent issue, which is sexual assault on children, on minors in Cameroon, destroying the future of so many children. Please, viewers, take care of your kids, do your best, and leave the rest for God. And viewers, that does it for this edition of the news. Thank you for always being with us. Our programs continue tonight. Equinoxe would be yours in about 25 minutes, and the news in the French language comes up at 8 p.m. Stay with us on Equinoxe Television. Bye-bye for now, and see you again tomorrow, same time, God willing.